And then lastly, as we're going through the first part of the presentation, I'll mostly be going through slides and asking some of my colleagues to join in with some of their input. You can feel free to enter any questions into the chat, and Vivian will take a look at those, and we'll answer those at the end during the question and answer, or you can wait and ask your question in person as well. Okay, and so can everyone see my screen, hopefully? And now I'm on the welcome and agenda. And so here's what we're going to go through today. I'd like us to do introductions next. Then we'll take you through an overview of the CFAR, then an overview of our Pilots Awards program. And then we'll have a presentation from a former pilot awardee, Dr. Sarah Calabrese, who's assistant professor, Department of Psychology and Brain Sciences at GW. And then we'll have open discussions and questions, and we will close by 1:30, if not before. So as far as introductions go, I've already introduced myself, and I would like to turn it over next to our developmental core directors to introduce themselves. Dr. Bacrency, would you mind starting us off, please?
Absolutely. Thank you, Brandy, for organizing that, and Vivian. I'm Michael Bukrinsky. I'm professor of microbiology, immunology, and tropical medicine at George Washington University School of Medicine. And I'm directing this developmental core together with my colleagues who will introduce themselves in a moment. And I'm really happy that we have such a great attendance today. And I hope that you will learn a little more about our developmental core, about our programs. And we're actually here to help you all to get NIH funding and develop your careers. Thank you again for participating.
Thanks, Michael. And Provost Wuto?
Good morning, good afternoon. I'm Tony Wuta. I currently serve as the provost at Howard University. I'm a HIV researcher and pharmacoepidemiologist, but I also serve as the co-director of the developmental core. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. And Dr. Silver?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sylvia Silver. I'm a professor of microbiology, immunology, and tropical medicine at GW, as well as with Michael. And again, would like to welcome all of you and realize that the developmental core directors are here to assist you in any way we can and make every way possible for you to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Burke?
I'm Mark Burke. I'm an associate professor at Howard University, Department of Physiology. I'm one of the co-directors of the developmental core, and I'm really excited to see everybody here and try helping you guys apply for pilot awards and go for NIH funding.
Thank you. And I believe I just saw our other developmental core director, Dr. Kim Blankenship, joining us now. Kim, are you there? We were just doing introductions.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
I'm here now. I had another meeting go over.
No problem, Kim. If you don't mind just introducing yourself and your role on the core.
Sure. I'm Kim Blankenship. I'm a professor of sociology at American University, and I am one of the co-directors of the developmental core.
Thank you. And so that rounds out our 5 developmental core directors. And then I'd like our other DCCFAR staff to introduce themselves. Vivian.
Thanks, Brandy. Hi, I'm Vivian Kirkham, and I am the Developmental Core Manager. And I work with Brandy and the Developmental Core directors to plan and execute events like this. So we're really excited to have you all here, and I look forward to working with you all soon.
Thank you, Vivian. And I believe I see Wendy Davis. Do you mind introducing yourself? Thank you.
Happy to. I don't see me coming up, but I am here.
We see you.
Okay, great. No, just very nice to be here, and happy to say hello to everybody. And I work with the Developmental Core in making sure that everybody has access to the resources they need as they make a pilot application. So if you have questions or just trying to navigate the system and you need help in any way, please let me know. Thanks. Great to see you all.
Thank you. And then I believe Lorena is on. Do you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, sure thing. Hi, everyone. I'm Lorena Segura, and I'm the Center Associate for the DC CFAR. I sit in the admin core with Randy and others, and I help with regards to the CFAR's overall communication, so our newsletter, support our scientific working groups and interest groups, and also support our community and our community partnership council and other things. So it's nice to be here.
Great, thank you so much. And then so now, so we can get a sense of who the investigators are that we have on the session. I'd like to go through, I'm just going to go down the participants list, and if you don't mind saying your name and your institution and the research that you are interested in, that would be great. And could we start with Dr. Zestos?
Hello, everyone. My name is Alexander Zestos, and I'm an assistant professor of chemistry in the Center for Neuroscience and Behavior at American University. And I'm interested more in vivo neurochemical measurements and eco-HIV models.
Thank you. And Dr. Riley?
Yes, hi, I'm Tony Riley. I'm at American University as well. I'm a professor of neuroscience, and I work with Alex. I do animal models of addiction and cognitive deficits associated with addiction. And Alex and I are studying the effects of eco-HIV on such models.
Thank you. And then we have Dr. Haddad.
Hello, I'm George Haddad from Howard University. I'm a professor in the Department of Physiology and Biophysics. My interest in HIV is on the effect of HIV and its treatment on the cardiovascular system.
Thank you. And Dr. Jen Quate.
Hi there, I'm Jen Quate. I'm a research scientist at Whitman Walker Institute, which is a new entity in the Whitman Walker family. It's our research policy and education group. My interest is in psychosocial factors related to HIV. I am particularly interested in adolescents and young adults. Good to see you all, and thank you.
Thank you. Then we have Dr. Sarah Calabrese.
Hi, you'll be hearing a little bit more about my research in a few minutes, but I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Psychological and Brain Sciences at GW. And broadly speaking, my research focuses on understanding and addressing barriers to HIV biomedical prevention access. I tend to focus on Black sexual minority men as well as other marginalized groups.
Thank you. And then we have Dr. Shannon Barth.
Hi, I am Shannon Barth. I am a new senior research scientist at George Washington University working with the DC cohort. I don't have a specific research topic yet. I'm here just to become familiar with this program. So thank you.
Great, thank you, and welcome to GW, Shannon. And Dr. Brett Shook.
I'm an assistant professor at George Washington University in the Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Medicine. My lab is interested in understanding more of the mechanism, cellular and molecular, for how skin inflammation and tissue repair is regulated and how this becomes dysfunctional in different disease states, which is what brings me to this group here, where both antiretroviral therapies and the infection is associated with alterations in skin function and inflammation.
Great, thank you. And then Dr. Yan Wang.
Hello, everyone. I'm associate professor at George Washington University. I'm at the Department of Prevention and Community Health. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, CFAR, for providing the sessions for me to interact with other CFAR members and learn about the opportunities and services provided by CFAR. Actually, I'm also I received the CFAR Pilot Award last month, so I'm very excited. Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention my research interests. So my research interests are focused on the risky behavior especially among children, adolescents, and young adults. My CFAR award is focused on the substance use in relation to the violence and the HIV care among the female sex workers living with HIV. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations again on your pilot award.
Thank you.
And then Dr. Ellen Young.
Hi, everyone. I am an assistant professor at the Psychological and Brain Sciences Department, and I study the effect of gene-environment interplay on the comorbidity between substance use disorder and chronic pain, and particularly looking at the intergenerational transmission from a lifespan developmental perspective. And I'm thinking about potentially working with people living with HIV in the future.
Thank you. And then Dr. William Tu.
Hello, everybody. My name is William Tu. I'm an assistant professor in Howard University in the Department of Radiology. So my research is mostly using MRI or PET imaging as a tool to study neuroscience. I'm new to HIV field. I'm here to learn how imaging science can help to HIV research. Good to see you, everybody.
Thank you. So I think I got everyone. If I did not, please speak now. I think that was everyone. Well, thank you all. We have a great group on this meeting today, and hopefully some of you all can connect at the end if you heard of someone's research that you'd be interested in, and we can help connect you afterwards as well. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and go through some of the presentation. So a little bit about the CFARs. They're NIH-funded Centers for AIDS Research around the country, and it's a network of 17 CFARs that address the NIH CFAR mission of supporting a multidisciplinary environment that promotes basic clinical, epidemiological, but behavioral and translational research in the prevention, detection, and treatment of HIV infection and AIDS. So as you can see on the map, a lot of the CFARs are concentrated on the East Coast, a few on the West Coast, and Texas just became a developmental CFAR, which we kind of call a baby CFAR, which means that they are going to be given a smaller amount of funds to see if they can develop into a larger CFAR and into a full CFAR, as we call it. So those are where our CFAR and our colleagues are located across the country. And for the DC CFAR mission, our mission is to intensify our multi-institutional effort to promote and support research that contributes to ending the HIV epidemic in DC and beyond in partnership with government and community. And so we do this by providing scientific leadership and institutional infrastructure, by stimulating and supporting innovative and consequential HIV research, by driving the development and recruitment of early stage new and women and minority HIV investigators, and by enhancing communication and fostering meaningful new collaborations between DC CFAR investigators and academic, government, community, and clinical partners. And more about our DC CFAR. Again, we have 8 institutions, which include GW, Georgetown, Howard University, American University, Veterans Affairs Medical Center, Children's National Health Center, DC Health, and Whitman Walker. And we currently have 260 members. We've given out 76 pilot awards for about $3.2 million. We've received 22 supplemental awards for about $7.1 million, and we have another 5 pending, fingers crossed, for $4 million. And we've recruited 110 new HIV investigators. And our investigators have received 112 NIH HIV awards, and our cumulative funded research base is 190 million. And so here's our organizational chart of the DC CFAR. And as you can see in the middle there is our executive committee, which is comprised of the leading HIV scientists from our 8 participating institutions. And so the executive committee is the core directors of each of our cores. And then the oversight committee includes senior academic leadership representing each of the 8 collaborating institutions. And this committee provides central stewardship and institutional support for the DC CFAR. And then we have our scientific advisory committee, which provides strategic, scientific, and organizational guidance to the EC. And it is comprised of scientific leaders from other CFARs across the country and leading experts in HIV. And then you'll also see our Community Partnership Council, and that's comprised of prominent members of the DC HIV community and leaders of various DC HIV CBOs, including representatives of HIV research, community advisory boards of DC CFAR institutions. And then at the bottom in gray, you'll see that our scientific working groups, or SWIGs as we call them, are where we bring together community members and investigators from across DC, from diverse fields who share common research interests and goals related to HIV/AIDS to collaborate in seeking NIH funding and other research activities. And then lastly, our scientific interest groups, which we call our SIGs, are kind of our baby SWIGs. And they're co-led by DC CFAR investigators and members of the Community Partnership Council. And the SIGs convene meetings and seminars and provide information about events and recent research of interest and create a forum to facilitate collaborations. And just to put some faces to the names, here's our CFAR Executive Committee. And again, our administrative core, which is led by our director and PI, Dr. Alan Greenberg, and our co-director, Dr. Gary Simon. And you've met everyone on the developmental core. And then we also have an institutional representative from DC Health, Dr. Tal Walker. And then our basic sciences core, which is led by Dr. Sergey Nakai. And we have a clinical and population sciences core, which is led by Dr. Seble Kasai. And our social and behavioral sciences core is led by Lisa Boleg. And we have an HIV cure scientific working group, which is led by Dr. Kath Ballard. And our Ending the HIV Epidemic scientific working group, which is led by Dr. Amanda Castell. And here's some of our major DC CFAR activities. We stimulate and support research in NIH HIV research priority areas. Pilot awards and mentoring programs are core services, which include lab, clinical, epi, biostats, and behavioral. We encourage and support recruitment of HIV investigators. We support NIH grant applications. We track all of these services, grants, and publications that are provided. We promote community engaged research. We have citywide and core SWIG seminars and symposia. And we also include all of this information and more on our website and through social media and our weekly update, which is our electronic newsletter that typically comes out every Wednesday. And so to give you a little bit more background about what each of the cores do and their functions, our administrative core, which again is led by our director and PI, Dr. Greenberg, provides the leadership and governance and multidisciplinary science, and it provides administrative oversight and fiscal management and collaboration and communication. So you'll see everyone's picture there. I'm not going to go through everything on the slide. Like I said, they'll be available after, and all of this is on our website. We really want to make sure we have time to go over the pilot awards and for questions. Excuse me. And then core B, and you've met all of us, and all of us are here today. Our core's objectives and aims are to promote and support innovative, collaborative, and multidisciplinary HIV research that is pertinent to the epidemic in DC, to lead a dynamic mentoring program for early stage and transitioning HIV investigators, and to provide educational and networking activities that promote collaboration in HIV research. And one of our main functions, of course, is our pilot awards programs. And we provide up to $50,000 for these awards. And it's a competitive program. And we have 2 cycles each year in spring and fall. And we'll talk more in detail about that in a bit. And then we also have micro grants, which is our smaller competitive grants that are typically $2,500, $5,000 if you are asking for money for RNA sequencing. And if you need course services or publication fees, poster printing, and travel to scientific conferences. We also provide mentoring and education and training, and such as the seminar we're having now. We provide grant writing workshops, which we will be hosting one at the end of September, and journal club webinars and mixers. And our basic sciences core, it's our core C led by Dr. Nakai. They provide high impact lab services, training to investigators in techniques and assays, and also consultations. And again, you can see and read for yourself some of the specific lab services, and our website goes into very good detail, excuse me, about all the lab services we provide. And for our clinical and population sciences core, led by Dr. Kasai, it provides comprehensive clinical, epi, and biostats research services, and also access to our longitudinal HIV cohorts for research and collaborations. And each of our pilot award cycles, we strongly encourage our investigators to work with one of these cohorts if they would like to, and if that, excuse me, goes parallel to their research. And then our last core is core E, led by Dr. Lisa Boleg, Social Behavior Sciences core. And they provide services supporting development of new grant applications, networking and building collaborations, education, training, and resources, and community engaged research. Sorry, excuse me. And then our Community Partnership Council, which is formerly known as our Community Advisory Board, or CAB, is led by Ms. Marcia Ellis, our community coordinator. And as I mentioned, it includes prominent members of leaders in the DC HIV community. And the major roles of the CPC are to participate in CFAR CPC meetings. They also do review pilot award applications. Our CPC participates in pilot award consultations and also provides the unique perspective of various communities represented on the CPC. And I thought I saw Marcia just join us.
Yes, hi.
Hi, Marcia, do you mind, we did introductions earlier. Do you mind introducing yourself briefly since we're on your slide?
It was just when I entered the room that you pulled up that slide. Sorry to be late. I had a conflict earlier. But yes, I'm Marcia Ellis, and I'm community coordinator for the DC CFAR after being a volunteer with the CFAR for about 10 plus years. And I also chair the Community Partnership Council. I have the great pleasure of working with, you know, the leaders in the community that Brandy mentioned, you know, who informs us every day and in so many different ways about research and how we can best do it based on their own experiences as leaders in the community. So, you know, thanks for this opportunity to say hello.
Great, thank you, Marcia. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more in detail about the Pilot Awards program. And so this program aims to provide pilot funds on a competitive basis to HIV and AIDS investigators to assist them in developing their NIH-funded research careers. And scope includes basic, clinical, epi, social behavioral, and prevention HIV, AIDS, and sciences. We typically have 2 RFA cycles per year in the spring and fall. And we typically award about 7 to 8 awards per year. And I would say during the spring, we probably get about 10 applications. And in the fall, maybe somewhere between 5 and 6 applications. So just to give you an idea about what the competition may look like. And the awards again are up to $50,000. Faculty investigators at the 8 participating DCC4 institutions are eligible to apply as PIs, and the funds are provided to support early stage or new and transitioning investigator with an emphasis on women and underrepresented minorities. And applications are reviewed by 3 peer reviewers and 1 community partnership council member. And so the reviewers do use the NIH scoring method. So you're 1 through 9, and they're scoring, of course, on overall and environment, investigator, excuse me, approach. And so we really try to keep that as close to how you would be scored at NIH. So it's kind of like, again, another practice and mentoring tool. And that's why we do it that way. Our next RFA will be released in mid-August, and I believe the date is August 19th. One thing that we think is kind of cool and innovative about the DCCFAR is that we have a pre-submission that is required for you to submit a full application. And so the pre-submission is kind of, letting us know that you plan to apply. And it's 1-pager, letter of intent with your specific aims, who you are as an investigator, how you intend to use this data to apply for another NIH award. And then once we receive those pre-submissions, what we do is we start getting together a team for a consultation call. And so this will be with other experts on your research topic from our executive committee or from the CFAR, and we'll have either a Zoom or phone call with you to talk through what you're thinking about for your application and give you some other ideas, let you know what are the core services available for you, and talk through, again, how you see using this data and for what type of NIH grant. The consultation is really there just to make sure that you can put together, the best application that you can. And then also, if you're in need of a mentor, which is required for all of our early stage investigators, we can help you find a mentor as well, either within the DCCFAR or outside of the DCCFAR if that's necessary. And that's also, again, a place where you can talk to members of our Community Partnership Council especially if you're working with community and you need more information or more advice. And even if you're not working with community, because of course, all the research that we do will apply to the community at some point. So that's a good way to get a sense of, the community's feeling about the research and other innovative ways that you can involve the community. And again, that's important because community members do also review your applications. And as I mentioned, we do strongly encourage applications that focus on DCC for our priorities, and that's women HIV, HIV cure, ending the HIV epidemic, and drug user health. Those are our current SWIGs and SIGs, scientific working groups and scientific interest groups. And then again, we also strongly encourage you to work with the NIH-funded HIV studies, such as the Max WISE cohort and the DC cohort. And then coming up soon, we have a 1.5-day grant writing workshop, and that's scheduled for September 23rd and 24th. And we'll send out more information for all of you to register, but any of our member investigators are welcome to attend. We have an outside group, the Grant Training Centers, who will come, and it's a grant writing workshop that's specifically focused on writing NIH grants, since that is the goal of the CFAR. And then this time we're having a half day on the second day where we'll really hone in and focus on specific aims, because we've heard from folks who have attended the workshop before that was the most useful part, and that if we just had a little bit more time, to hone in on specific aims, that would be great. So I just wanted to highlight some of our recent pilot award recipients, and Dr. Wang is with us today, and her projects on substance use, mental health problems, and HIV outcomes among female sex workers. And then Dr. Ruth Canthula at Georgetown, prevalence of subclinical atherosclerosis among female adolescents and young adults with perinatally acquired HIV infection. And Dr. Chul Kim at Georgetown, and Dr. Ana Maria Del Rio Gonzalez at GW. And so this is just so you can get a sense of the types of research that we may fund. And then we especially wanted to highlight today our recent award recipients that are new to HIV. And Dr. Mark Burke, if you wouldn't mind speaking a little bit to this, and Dr. Zestos and Dr. Riley are on the phone or on the Zoom today with their recent pilot award.
Yeah, so all of the people who are listed on this particular slide, they are all established researchers in their own field, but they realize in talking with us at the CFAR, realized that they could transform some of their work, some of their techniques and ideas in their own research field to the HIV field. And I know, Brandy, you mentioned a little while ago about mentoring, and you said that we do offer mentoring for ESIs, and that's mandatory for ESIs. But for those individuals who are established in their own field and want to branch out into HIV, it's always a great idea to be teamed up with somebody or be mentored by somebody in the HIV field to make sure that your science and your ideas are applicable in HIV and put it into an HIV context. So that's where the matching with somebody within the HIV field is really, really helpful and really strengthens your grant application. And they're listed as a mentor, not necessarily as a co-investigator, co-PI, nothing like that. It also depends on your relationship with the person and how much involvement, but it's really a way to bolster HIV. And if you think about it, we have the people who have transitioned into HIV over the past couple of years have brought in, what Brandy was, about over $400,000 in funding to their labs.
Yes.
So that's sizable, and really, and that's before they're even applying for the NIH funding beyond supplements. So this is a really fantastic gateway into new NIH funding for our DC membership.
Great, thank you so much, Mark. And then I wanted to welcome Dr. Sarah Calabrese to just talk to us a little bit about her experience receiving a pilot award and navigating the DC CFAR.
Great. Thank you, Brandy, for inviting me. I'm happy to be here. So I'd like to talk a little bit about my experience with the pilot award process specifically, and then I'll talk about other kind of resources I've been able to use as a member of the CFAR and particularly as a junior faculty member. So to give you a little bit of background, I received a pilot award in 2017. It was entitled Optimizing Prep Social Marketing to Black MSM in DC to Raise Awareness and Uptake. And it was a mixed method study. There was a component that was an online experimental survey where we were systematically manipulating visual aspects of advertisements and then getting kind of feedback and looking at acceptability of different advertisements. And then there was also a qualitative component which entailed 4 focus groups, all with Black MSM. Originally, we were focusing exclusively in the DC area. We ended up for the survey having to broaden that because of recruitment challenges. So you can see there the co-investigators on the project, some of whom are members of the CFAR, others are from outside institutions. Overall, the application process I found to be very supportive, and you probably got that sense as Brandy was describing it. There's the core consultations where you can get some of your questions and concerns answered. It's designed so that you have a senior researcher who is a mentor on the award, so you feel supported in that way. You're also able to consult on the statistics, which was helpful, and I found this particularly helpful because I've had previous experiences in stats consultations with statisticians who just didn't speak the same language, like as a social scientist, and they were used to kind of biological and biomedical sciences. Like it was really hard to kind of communicate my needs. And what's great, I think, about the CFAR as an interdisciplinary center is that it has multiple statisticians available who are used to working with researchers who are in different fields. The other thing about the application process is that it's quite comprehensive. If you look at the different components of the application, it in many ways mirrors an R series NIH grant application, and it's designed to kind of help prepare you for writing that application. But I would make sure to take note of that if you're thinking of applying for an award. You really need to pace yourself because there is quite a bit that goes into the application, more than perhaps some of the smaller pilot awards or monies you've gone after in the past. With respect to the implementation process, that included presentation and receiving feedback from the executive committee of the CFAR. In general, I found that the CFAR was extremely responsive and resourceful when numerous roadblocks were encountered. So with this project, I think to some extent, any pilot project, there are things that are going to go wrong. You're going to encounter roadblocks, maybe all research projects, but pilot projects in particular, that's part of the reason for them, right, is to be able to identify those challenges so that when you go to apply for the larger grant, you have the wisdom of that, the learning experience from your pilot project. I think in this particular project, the number of roadblocks encountered were, I've never had so many problems with one project. So we had recruitment challenges. We had numerous bouts of fraudulent responders in our online survey where we'd have to shut down the online survey. And, it was, again, a learning process. We learned different ways to prevent fraudulent responding, but that in itself was quite challenging. We also had an issue where a graphic designer who we had hired used a copyrighted photo of a local DC politician in the advertisements created, and I received a call from that politician. We also had a situation where the safe was stolen out of my office. So there's just a lot of things that came up, and I have to say that the CFAR was extremely responsive. Alan Greenberg, the PI in particular, would email back the day of some of these challenges occurring. So that was very helpful. Could I have the next slide, Brandy? In terms of outcomes, so there were a few different academic presentations that have come out of this so far. So one, it was a graduate student who worked on the project, Rico Boone. He presented at the Biomedical HIV Prevention Summit last year. I also published or presented the main results of the study at the International AIDS Conference last year. I've also had a number of non-academic presentations. So one was an invited presentation by the CFAR to talk about lessons learned in online data collection. And I also gave that presentation at the Adelante Scholars webinar. I also was invited to be part of a panel to speak about the Prep for Love campaign in Chicago. So this was a PrEP social marketing campaign. And so I and a few other researchers were on a panel that was about kind of reflecting on the campaign itself and kind of what went right, what went wrong, and I was able to share my data to make some informed recommendations about social marketing moving forward. There are a couple manuscripts in preparation. The main one coming out of the study, which I'm leading, also a graduate student, doctoral student who I'm working with, has drafted a manuscript that is about, again, sort of online survey issues and how to sort of anticipate and address them. And then finally, the award yielded pilot data and methodological wisdom for an R01 application that I'm currently working on and will be aiming to submit in January to the NIH. Can I have the next slide, please? So other experiences I've had with the DC CFAR, and to be honest, when I was on the job market and looking at opportunities, I think the DC CFAR was very much a selling point for GW. It was very attractive to come and work at an institution where there were a lot of like-minded or individuals who were doing complementary research all in one place. And so in terms of my personal involvement, I was involved with the Sexual and Gender Minorities Scientific Working Group, which hasn't been active lately. I'm not sure if it will start up again in the future, but I was part of it for a number of years. I was part of, or I've attended events through the Social and Behavioral Sciences Core. I've participated in the pilot grant peer review process. I've also used a number of the services. So I've consulted with Dr. Kim Blankenship and Maria Cecilia Zaya on a grant, an R01 that I submitted a few years ago, which unfortunately didn't get funded, but I got a lot of helpful feedback in the process of developing that grant. In addition, I have a photo there of a publication that just came out a couple weeks ago that was for that publication, which was separate from my pilot award. We were able to consult with Dr. Sam Simmons, who advised on the statistics. It was a latent class analysis and latent class analysis regression, and he was able to advise on that. And so that was extremely helpful. It was graduate students who were leading that paper, and as a result of that consultation, they were able to kind of carry out the analysis and write this paper. As far as didactic opportunities, there's a number of seminars and conferences. As Brandy spoke to previously, I've enjoyed going and learning about, for example, there will be kind of big name speakers like Greg Millett who's come, and there's also been kind of speakers within the CFAR who have talked about topics that I wasn't that knowledgeable about. So for example, HIV cure research, there was somebody who presented about it and really kind of explained it to someone with a social sciences background so I could understand sort of the mechanics. So I found it to be really useful just to have the opportunity to learn about topics that are directly relevant to my research, but also somewhat tangential and in the domain of HIV research. As far as other funding opportunities, I was a co-PI on an administrative supplement award that with Dr. Anna Maria Gonzalez, and we were able to put that in this past year. It unfortunately wasn't funded, but it was kind of a nice opportunity to apply for funding. And then also there's just a lot of opportunity for networking. So for example, when I was experiencing some challenges with recruitment on a separate study, I knew, Dr. Castell through the CFAR, and she was able to connect me to the DC cohort and several sites in the DC cohort to help support recruitment, and they were able to distribute flyers for me. I also met Marcia Ellis through the CFAR, and she was able to assist with recruitment resources at one point. She was also kind enough to come and speak to my graduate research methods seminar. And so I wouldn't have had the opportunity to know or connect with those individuals had it not been for the CFAR. So it's a great place to network. It's also a great place for new collaborations. And then I think the last slide I have is just my contact information. If anyone has questions, I'm happy to, please feel free to email me. I'd be happy to chat further about my experience, but I think that kind of gives you a broad overview of it.
Thanks so much, Sarah. And I moved your contact to the end with our contact information. So your email is still on here. But Sarah, thank you so much for providing that overview and how you've navigated the DC CFAR. And I mean, this is pretty much, what we hope, our investigators will do is that you will seek out some of the core services, attend, all the events, and even, things that you don't think that you need, or like Sarah said, she doesn't know much about cure research, but she decided to listen in, from a SBS perspective, and learned a lot there. Our basic sciences core provides lab open houses, and maybe someone in SBS, typically doesn't, do biomarkers and things like that, but maybe they might hook up with a basic sciences investigator and want to learn more about that. So, and if there's something that we haven't mentioned that, you'd hope to find at the CFAR, just ask us and let us know. And if we, don't have it, within the CFAR, we can certainly connect you wherever you need to be connected as well. So I think that's the end of our presentation. I do want to see if any of the developmental core directors have anything else that they'd like to add that wasn't mentioned here, or if you want to highlight anything that was mentioned before we get to our questions.
Yeah, Sylvia, I would just like to let everyone make sure that they understand that one of the main goals of the CFAR is to expand the HIV research in the DC area. And we are, of course, here to help. We're also very interested in making sure if you are thinking of any research topic that is going to take place internationally, that you keep in mind that you want to see how it relates back, or can it relate back, or can it be essentially research that would benefit in the DC area. That's just in case anyone does have international research. It won't keep you from being funded, but it's very important for us to be able to essentially, transpose what you might do for the DC community. The other thing is the fact we do have 3 reviewers. They're going to be 2 from inside the DC area, people working in research, but then we will be, or at least from the CFAR, but we will also have someone from outside reviewing as well. The consultation calls are extremely beneficial. People have found that in the past, and we instituted them to assist from the very beginning if we can, and as helping you with your research proposal. So we are here. We're always open for new suggestions. As the mentoring director, I want to just say, please take advantage of everything that we offer. And again, if you have any ideas for something that we don't offer, let us know. And good luck. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on that one, Sylvia. I just kind of give an example with Alex and Tony's grant list past year. We had reached out, Kim and I reached out to American University and had that informal discussion about how faculty could apply their research. And during that consultation call with Alex, Tony, and and Sanjay, who is our basic science co-director, really helped to, and Alex and Tony, you can correct me if I'm wrong, really kind of helped to define what type of animal model you want to look at and really refine the question that you're asking. And first cycle, you guys got funded. That, to me, that's a real testament to these consultation calls and mentorship.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mark. I actually found out about the opportunity through Tony, who learned about it through Kim, and we were just amazed at the level of support and feedback that we received through every step of the process. First, the mentorship through Sanjay, and then the call with you and Sergey and Michael. And, we're really excited and thrilled to be delving into this new area of research, and we're really expecting great results from our work.
And I'd like to add as well that following up with what Dr. Calabrese said is that I've never seen a group of people more selfless in terms of their time and resources. No one ever hesitated to talk to us and give us feedback. Mark was wonderful. Sanjay, Sergey, everybody was very helpful, but it's just a group of people that want to make you succeed in this endeavor. And we're really appreciative of that.
Thank you.
I just wanted to, kind of echo and say two things. One is, in one of my other hats I wear is Associate Dean of Research at American. And, we're always brainstorming about, pilot project programs and how to make them work and so far. And this is like the gold standard of how to do a pilot project program, in my view. And it's hard to replicate. It takes a lot of dedication and so forth, but it really is in my view, the gold standard of a program. And then just also to say, sort of in keeping with, Alex and Tony's experience, if there's anybody on the call or whatever who kind of have other colleagues who they think, might potentially benefit from a conversation with one of us or a group of us about how this could work. If there's oh no, I can't really, HIV research, that's kind of out of the scope of my possibilities. I think, everybody in the core and probably in the CFAR, more experienced investigators, will be willing to talk with people about how realistic it might be or not be for them to kind of move their work into this area, even for junior investigators who sometimes it's a little scary to think about moving into a new area when you're still developing your own area.
Thanks, Kim. And Dr. Bukrinsky, did you want to add anything?
Yes, I want to kind of second Kim's thoughts about that. I think that she actually expressed it very well. And I just encourage all of you to contact us as whenever you feel that you need our help, you have a question or something, we're willing to help you with anything that we can. So basically, don't hesitate. And you can go through Brandy or through Vivian, and she will connect you to us, and we can provide any consultation that you need.
Thanks, Michael. And then just let me check in. Provost Wuto, you have anything to add?
No, thank you. I've had a challenge finding the mute button, but no, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so why don't we see if there's any questions from our guests. And while you're thinking about your question, let me just reiterate that our next pilot awards RFA will be released on August 19th. So it'll be on our website. The old RFA is on our website now. So if you wanted to, kind of get a head start and just check out what it looks like, the next RFA will be very similar to that. And then I believe the pre-submissions will be due on September 9th. So just to give you a heads up. So typically have about 3 weeks to submit your one pager, to let us know what you're thinking about for your research. And that is done online. There's an online form where you'll submit your pre-submissions. Okay, so does anyone have any questions for us? Or any questions? Oh.
Hey there, it's Jen at Women Walker. Just a quick question. This was great and very helpful, and it's information I've heard before, but it's helpful here again, as well as the new information. For when I'm thinking of current DCCFAR grants that I work on or would work on in the future, is support provided throughout the life of the grant if there's a particular need that we see a staff member, someone working on the grant may need a little bolstering or support in terms of analysis? Does that continue on through the life of the grant, or is the focus primarily on the kind of the grant writing process? It seems from what Sarah has shared, it goes on throughout, and I just want to know a little bit about how those resources are accessed.
So I'll just start. It's definitely throughout the life of the grant and after. And even if someone does not, currently have a grant, as long as you're, a member of the DCCFAR, you can access any of our services, like any consultations with our leadership, any lab services. So it's not just for, if you have a grant, it's also if you're one of our investigators thinking about applying to a grant, when you have the grant, after you have the grant. We also want to help with manuscripts, publications, applying to your next grant as well. And that's where also the mentoring piece, the mentoring piece comes into play and is key because we want to make sure that our early stage investigators, especially, and those who are new to HIV, have mentorship throughout their time here in the DCCFAR. Mark, did you want to add anything to that?
Actually, there's a couple questions in the chat I'd like to address.
Okay.
One of the questions, I'll get this first, the second one first. Are senior investigators transitioning to HIV at a disadvantage in the application process? Absolutely not. Actually, Alex Zestos, Tony Riley, and Mark Lobeck, who were first-time submissions this past year, they're experienced researchers in their own fields, some with NIH funding. They were not at a disadvantage whatsoever. They put forth really strong and competitive applications, scored really well, and got funded. So no, you're not at a disadvantage. But we do look out for ESI, just like NIH does. And then there's another question here by Dr. Wang. Can you introduce the HIV studies in DC, like the DC cohort and the WISE? We do have information that, Brandon, I'm going to let you kind of take over on that one, but I think one of the other programs that we have within the DCCFAR, the Developmental Core, are these collaborative series that we have. It actually started off with Provost Wuto a number of years ago, and it kind of blossomed into different faculty and at different institutions presenting their techniques and their sample populations or their patient populations to encourage multidisciplinary, multi-institutional collaborations. And Lorena, I think we have some of these on recorded. I think we might have the DC cohort collaborative lunch where Amanda Castell really went through everything with the DC cohort recorded. I think we're supposed to be putting that up on our website. We also have Dr. Silver's biorepository tissue collection for HIV. I think that one is recorded as well. So we do have those available, but Brandy, do you want to speak more to that?
Right, so just to give a little more information, and as Mark said, we do have the recordings on our website, and we have further information on our website about these longitudinal studies. But the Max Wise cohort, the PI of that cohort is also the director of the CPS core, Dr. Seble Kasai, and then the PI for the DC cohort is the lead on the EHE scientific working group, Dr. Amanda Castell. And these are longitudinal studies in DC that have went back years. I'm not sure exactly how many years for each, but they have, and they're continuously enrolling participants into their different studies into this cohort to gain information about folks with and without HIV. And so if you wanted to work with one of these cohorts, this is where you could gain access to study participants and also to data, and some of them also have specimens as well. And so I encourage you, as Mark said, to listen to some of the recordings to learn a little bit more about those offerings, but we can put you in touch with the PIs of each of those cohorts if you would like to possibly get in touch with different participants and specimens from longitudinal studies in DC.
I can add a little bit to this. Whitman Walker actually is a sub-site to Johns Hopkins. I function as a site PI for the CCS at Whitman Walker. They used to be two separate cohorts, Max and Wise. Max has been going on for more than 35 years, close to 40. And we have just combined over the past 2 years. And so I'm absolutely interested in what the possibilities might be to use the cohort data and our processes with the pilot award. And I'm happy to think about collaboration with any one of you if you'd like to reach out.
Thanks, Jen.
Yes, that would be great. Thank you so much. If you can put me in contact with the PIs.
Sure.
Thank you.
And I just want to put a plug in for the AIDS and Cancer Specimen Resource, which is actually an international resource of specimens. We've been funded since 1994. Mainly, we're looking at malignancy specimens and controls, but people can request our specimens free of charge if you have any question related to HIV.
So speaking of that, Dr. Silver, I remember Brett Shook mentioned that he does dermatology work. Do you have any dermatological or skin cancer specimens there as well? So something that
definitely.
So you could start thinking about having already built-in tissues.
Right. The website will show you how to access or request specimens. You do have to have funding in order to use the specimens. They are free of charge though, but you have to have an institutional sign-off that you are either requesting funding or you have funding. And we can write letters of support for an application if you are going after funding. So.
And again, Dr. Silver's collaborative series, I think that is on the website as well. Is that correct?
Right. Should
so
be.
that so you can watch it. It's a little bit less than an hour, but she goes through everything, and it's a fantastic seminar.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? I'll just scroll through my gallery here. Anything else anyone wants to add? And as you can see, our investigators also have a wealth of knowledge, just like Dr. Jen Quaid and Dr. Sarah Calabrese. So, if you heard from someone else, another investigator today that you'd like to get in touch with, let us know and we can connect both of you, or if you're chatting now, the chat box, that's great too. And again, this will be recorded and it'll be on our website, and then we'll also have a PDF of the slides available as well. And that's where we'll have all of our contact information, and I've included Sarah's contact information.
One more plug, Brandy, I want to put in. Since you guys have most everybody on this call have been invited by somebody at your institution, please do make sure that you go onto the DC CFAR website and do the membership so that you're guaranteed to get all the newsletters and all the updates, all the events that we're doing. And anyone who is in your department that you think might be interested, potentially either starting out in HIV or transitioning or applying their research into into the HIV field, please have them reach out to us or fill out that membership. It takes 2 seconds to do, but this is going to guarantee you the information coming through because we have a lot of programs, a lot of seminars that go on.
Yes, thank you. We did get one more question in the chat. When is the funding expected for the fall applications? The funding would be, the project start date is anticipated to be January 1st, 2022.
And Brandy, if I could just mention again to everyone that we're mentoring, well, I don't know how to put the word right. We're extremely interested and anxious to assist anyone in mentoring throughout your career to get you to the next step, to keep you at that next step and go to the next one. But our mentoring program is open at any time to anyone that would like to have some mentoring, some assistance with some aspect of what you might like to gain in the skill set or learn a different area. It's just not around the pilot award. So please look into the developmental core activities.
And just to let you all know that I said that the pre-submissions for the RFA will be due on September 9th, and then the full applications will be due on November 9th. And so there's, a couple months in between submitting your pre-submission, and that's when we'll host the grant writing workshop. We'll have a specific aims review, consultation calls. You'll be able to work with Dr. Sam Simmons on your biostats if you'd like. And then your application will do November 9th with a start date of January 1. So that's the timeline that we're looking at. Okay.
Brandy?
Oh, yeah.
This is Marcia Ellis again. I just want to also just really welcome you and encourage you to contact me as well if you have any questions or looking for resources for making connections within the DC community. Many of you may have your own connections already, but we're always here as a resource. It's an ongoing interest of ours to make sure that the community knows who you are, that you know who the community is, and that we share some of the many, many lessons that we've learned along the way about engaging with the community here. It's a very rich and I think very willing community to talk through some of your interests and to let you hear what some of theirs are. So please add my name to the contact list.
Okay, will do. Okay, anything else? Okay, if there are no additional questions, I just want to thank everyone for attending today. I really appreciate your time and engagement, and a special thank to Dr. Sarah Calabrese for walking us through your experience with the pilot awards and with the DC CFAR as a whole. We look forward to working with all the new investigators who we haven't met yet. And again, please reach out to any of us for any questions you may have. And if you're not a member yet, as Dr. Burke said, please go ahead and sign up for membership so that you can receive all the information on any seminars, and you'll be the first to receive the announcement for the RFA when it does come out in a couple of weeks. So with that, we can adjourn, and everyone please have a great afternoon and a nice and safe weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.